You are on the phone, sharing everything with your best friend. After 10 minutes, you realize they haven't said a word. You've been talking to them, not with them. How many of us do the exact same thing in our prayers? A deeper connection with Allah. Today, we're diving into something big. The difference between talking to Allah and me too having a real conversation with Him. Most of us treat Salah like a checklist. We say the words, ask for what we need, and move on with our day. But is that really what Allah wants from us? Is that the kind of relationship He is offering? Or is there something more, something deeper, more fulfilling, and truly transformative? If you want to know what it's really like to talk with Allah, not just at Him, then keep watching. We're going to break this down step by step. Chapter 1. Understanding true conversation with Allah. First off, what's the difference between talking to Allah and talking with Him? When we talk to Allah, we're basically reading off a shopping list. Allah, I need this. Allah, fix that. We say our prayers, make our du'as, and we're out. But talking with Allah is a whole different concept. This time, we're not just speaking, we're listening. We're opening our hearts, not just our mouths. Now, what's stopping us from having these real conversations? Two big things: lack of focus, treating prayer like a task. How many times have you caught yourself thinking about other things while you're praying, or rushing through Salah just to tick it off your to-do list? I've been there too. When we're not present in our prayers, we're building a wall between us and Allah. But here's the thing, Allah wants us close. He says in the Quran, we are closer to Him than His jugular vein. Think about that. The jugular vein, it's right there in your neck. It's keeping you alive right now. And Allah is saying that He's even closer than that. So why do we often feel so distant in our prayers? It's not because Allah is far away. It's because we are not truly present. The key to breaking down these barriers and really connecting with Allah is to change how we approach prayer. This doesn't mean you need to perfect your Arabic. It's about showing up, really showing up. It's about being as present with Allah as you would be with your closest friend, because that's the kind of relationship He's inviting us into, one of closeness, of real conversation. Chapter 2. Preparation. Now that we understand what real conversation with Allah looks like, let's talk about how to prepare. Creating the right environment. This doesn't mean just finding a quiet corner. It's about preparing your space and your mind. Before you start praying, take a minute to breathe. Clear your head. Put your phone on silent. Treat this time like you're meeting the most important person in your life. Because you are. Feeling present in prayer. This is the feeling of being totally there in your prayer, when your mind, heart, and body are all focused on Allah. This is what turns prayer from a routine into a conversation. So, how do we get there? Here are a few techniques that have helped me. Slow down. Take your time with each word and each movement. Understand what you're saying. If you don't know Arabic, learn the meanings of the surahs you recite most often. Use your imagination. When you say Allahu Akbar, really think about how great Allah is. Check in with yourself. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back. Remember, improving your focus in prayer is like building a muscle. It takes time and practice. Some days will be better than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep showing up and keep trying. Because every time you do, you're opening the door a little wider to that real, life-changing conversation with Allah. Chapter 3. Speaking from the heart now. Let's get real about how we actually talk to Allah. First of all, Allah doesn't need your fancy words. He doesn't care if you stumble over your Arabic or if your dua sounds like poetry. What He wants is sincerity. It's better to say that you're struggling from the bottom of your heart than to recite a dua you don't really mean. Now, don't get me wrong. The prescribed duas are important. They teach us how to speak to Allah and give us the words when we don't have them. But my point is, you shouldn't just stop there. Mix in your own words. Talk to Allah like you talk to someone who knows you better than anyone else. Allah already knows. When you're hurting, when you're confused, when you're messed up. I remember a time when I was going through some heavy stuff. I was angry at myself, at my situation, even at Allah. For days, I couldn't pray properly because I felt like a hypocrite. But then I realized Allah already knew how I felt. So in my next prayer, I just let it all out. I told Allah exactly how I was feeling, no filter. And guess what? That was one of the most powerful prayers of my life. Chapter 4. Active listening in prayer. Now here's where most of us mess up. We talk to Allah, but we forget to listen. Prayer isn't just about us speaking, it's also about hearing what Allah has to say. So how do we listen to Allah? It starts with quieting our minds. After you've said what you need to say, take a moment. Just be still. It's in these quiet moments that we can sometimes feel Allah's presence most strongly. Allah's response often comes in subtle ways. His answers don't always come during prayer. Sometimes it's a random ayah that suddenly makes sense to you, or advice from a friend that just clicks, or even a seemingly random event that solves a problem you've been struggling with. The key is to be aware, to look out for these signs. We live in a world of instant gratification. We want answers now. But Allah's timing isn't our timing. Sometimes the answer is wait. And that waiting period, it's a test of our trust in Allah. Chapter 5. Structure of a heartfelt conversation. Okay, let's break down what a real heartfelt conversation with Allah looks like. Think of it like building a house. You need a solid structure, but how you decorate the house, that's up to you. 1. Start with praise and gratitude. Before you ask for anything, acknowledge who you're talking to. Recognize His greatness. Even on your worst day, you still have things to thank Allah for. Your breath, your sight, the fact that you're able to pray at all. This sets the tone for your conversation. 2. Seek forgiveness. We all mess up, brothers and sisters, daily. So admit your mistakes to Allah. Be specific. Don't just say, forgive me. Say what for. 3. Pray for others. Here's where a lot of us jump straight to our personal needs. But try this. Pray for others first. Pray for your parents, your siblings, the ummah, and even those who have wronged you. It shifts your focus beyond yourself and reminds you that prayer is not just about personal requests. It's about connection and compassion. 4. Express your personal needs. Be honest about what you desire, but also reflect on what you truly need. 5. Close with trust and submission. Once you've poured your heart out, surrender your worries to Allah. Have faith that whatever outcome unfolds, it is what's best for you. This isn't a rigid structure. Some days you may find yourself seeking forgiveness more, while on other days, gratitude overflows from your heart. And that's completely okay. What matters is that you show up sincerely, covering these key elements in a way that feels natural to you, because at its core, this is what Allah desires, a real, heartfelt conversation with you. Take the first step, but none of this will make a difference unless you apply it. So, right now, choose one thing from this video, just one, and implement it in your next prayer. And if this resonated with you, don't forget to like and subscribe.